That's important. He shoots it right away. Notice the cue ball doesn't go anywhere. He's shooting shots. Side pocket, uses all the pockets, keeps the cue ball very close to him.
Shot on the 5. This shot on the 5. Watch this.
Opens up the 9 and 2. Notice that?
That is great.
He doesn't waste much time. And does not miss any balls in that rack either, Mitch. That was big.
Come on!
He is fun to watch and listen to. You think he wants some crowd support? I think so. Just watched himself, said, wow, is that what I do when I do this?
I get a kick out of him, Mitch.
Now, if you're Jason Kane, you are all of a sudden trailing, and you have to kind of keep it reined in because Dave Pearson really can put some pressure on you.
Oh, good break. He needs a solid time here. Come on, shoot something. Don't wait, shoot. Shoot again.
You think about psychologically, Alan, when Dave's just put a 50-second rack on you.
Yeah, he's got to come with a good time here.
Yep.
Definitely, and I think he knows that. And I think he's rising for the... Well, here he lets the cue ball. He just stopped it. Doesn't have anything really. You got to do a tough shot here. And he misses, but that's okay. He'll get down and shoot something pretty quick.
Uh-oh.
And he's getting a little tight here, it looks like.
What?
Yeah, this rack has slowed down a little bit for him. Cue ball right on the rail now.
And there he's letting the ball get away a little bit. Doesn't have a shot. Does he make this down the rail? It doesn't matter. He's going to shoot something else anyway. Yeah, a lot of misses in this rack. He's got to get himself back together here, Mitch.
Started off this rack down by 8 seconds to Dave Pearson after that 50-second rack by Dave. And he's already at 1:10.
He's
misses again. Yep. You know, in speed pool, once you start missing and some things start happening, it can really feel like you're underwater, too.
Boy, I tell you, it seems like once you miss, you start missing more shots.
Keep your eye on that clock. 1:32.
He's not happy.
So just in that particular rack, falling behind, big time.
Riding through a giant sculpture park, the hard cores of extinct volcanoes form a panorama of bluffs and spires and pinnacles. These are young peaks, their sides deeply scarred by the explosive force of their creation. The Tuareg call this land Atakor, like something out of Lord of the Rings. Next morning, I climbed to the top of a 9,000-foot mountain to watch the sunrise. Because of Algeria's 10-year civil war, the Hogar Massif is rarely visited, which only increases the impact of its beauty. Down in the dormitory where we spent the night, it's time to pack up. Our newly acquired sense of peace is about to be rudely shattered. This is the other face of Algeria, a modern republic which freed itself from the French and is now desperately trying to free itself from Islamic radicals. But airlines and newspapers can't disguise underlying tensions, or the fact that these 21st century comforts are paid for by one great stroke of fortune. This is Algeria's Aladdin's Cave, oil and natural gas fields that provide 90% of the country's foreign earnings. They've spawned high-security towns in the middle of nowhere, like this one at Hassi Massoud.
45 years ago, there was nothing here but desert. And this amazing transformation is the result of electric pumps working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to pump water up from vast underground reservoirs, sometimes hundreds, sometimes thousands of feet below the Sahara. The result is a man-made oasis, and this extraordinary and powerful illusion that in the middle of the desert, there is no desert.
It's not just like being in a French provincial town, but French countryside as well. These are very different cattle from their bony counterparts in Mali and Niger. It just shows what can be done to the desert if there's a will and a petrochemical industry to back it up. A few miles from where they first discovered the oil that so changed Algeria's fortunes, there is another frontier. On the other side of it, an even richer country.
Shukran, shukran. This lonely tree represents the border between Algeria and Libya. And apart from being one of the most spectacular frontiers in the world, it's also one of the friendliest frontiers. Because people from Algeria and people from Libya come here, sit under the tree and take tea. And really, I don't want to leave this beautiful spot, but leave we must. Across the border into the sands of Libya.
In Libya, like Algeria, the bulk of the population clings to the Mediterranean coast. It's been quite a coup to get permission to film here, and I'm not going to miss a minute of it. Well, maybe just a minute. This looks like being one of the longest bus rides of my life. To all appearances, Libya is a country with plenty of money, but very few people. Which is not surprising, as they have the world's third largest oil revenues to divide amongst a population less than that of London. In Benghazi, Libya's second city, you can see the layers of history. A mosque stands beside a palazzo built by Italian colonists, which now houses one of the committees which run the great socialist People's Libyan Arab Jamahiriya. For over 30 years, Libya has appeared determined to isolate itself from the West. 2,000 years ago, it was an integral part of Europe. First the Greeks, then the Romans were drawn to this fertile land between the sea and the Sahara and built some of their grandest cities here. Cyrene was a bustling metropolis 500 years before Christ. It had its own port, Apollonia. Staggering sights these, but totally deserted. But then the modern towns are deserted as well. Is there some national emergency we've not been told about? Is it National Stay Indoors Day? Where are all the Libyans? Apart from our driver, everyone seems to have gone. And taken everything with them.
Picnic time, and despite the fact that there are big cities, we've seen Tobruk and Benghazi, we're off to Tripoli, Libya is largely desert, so it's picnic time in the desert. Here's my packed lunch. It's enormous, and I can't actually tell what it is because everything's in Arabic. Typically, all the signs in Libya are in Arabic as well, despite the fact that a lot of people here speak English. So it could be lunch, it could be a very large hat, I suppose. It is lunch. There we go. Now, nice little well-sealed box here. Ah, it's everything very typically Libyan. Got some cold chips.
The shortage of water is clearly a problem for Libya, but Colonel Gaddafi has an impressive answer to it. These massive concrete sections will form part of his great man-made river project, Designed to bring underground water 1,000 miles from the desert to the coast, it's one of the most ambitious engineering schemes anywhere in the world. "1,700 years ago, water was no problem. This land was known as the breadbasket of Rome, rich enough from exports of wheat and oil to boast the most magnificent city of North Africa, Leptis Magna. It still gives off a powerful sense of the brute strength of Rome. These halls were built by Septimius Severus, an African who became Roman emperor and died attending to business in the north of England. It wasn't just Septimius that ended up in England. In 1827, the ruler of Tripoli sent 35 columns and other assorted features as a present to King George IV. A bit of Leptis Magna can still be found off the A329 near Virginia Water. As we leave Libya, I have the feeling that despite being generous hosts, the Libyans are deeply mistrustful of people with cameras, something which was never a problem in my next destination.
Less than 100 miles from the Libyan border, we're in this extraordinarily arid, almost lunar landscape of southern Tunisia. And it's so arid and uncongenial here that for the last 700 years people have been living in caves under the ground. And believe it or not, I do know this place. I was crucified here 23 years ago for the life of Brian. And I've always wanted to come back because it is so unforgettable, a place that remains in your mind. And I mean, there aren't many people who can say they've gone back to the place they were crucified. I'm going to see what it's like.
The crosses are gone, but otherwise El Hadej hasn't changed much. It remains an underground town, and though the authorities are doing their best to move people from caves into houses, there are those who by tradition and inclination prefer to live and work below the surface.
Hey.
The older generation of troglodytes can't see why they should have to move from their caves. One answer is to cash in on the curiosity value and become hoteliers.
Bonjour, bonjour. 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 Michael. Beautiful. This is where you live, your house.
Yes.
Nice and silent and cut off from the world. You have a room? Ah, yes. Okay, I see the room. Thank you. Ah. In here? Ah, merci. Après vous.
My host was very keen to point out that living underground made very good sense, as the caves are warm in winter and cool in summer.
I think tea's made. Yeah, that's what the...
In southern Tunisia, where the desert meets the sea, there's an offshore island called Djerba, which hangs on to old traditions as tenaciously as the troglodytes of El Hadej. In their case, it's catching octopus in Greek vases. The fishermen may look as if they're dressed by Dolce & Gabbana, but their technique is pre-Roman. The pots are strung out on a line, and, unfailingly, between November and March every year, the octopus obligingly climb into them.
Ah, you got one. Yes. Whee! Well, that's it. That's what it look like. Can we have a look? Oh, there it is. Wow. Yeah. Whoa. You want it? Hey! That's one. So. Hey, get back in there. Boy, get back in there.
Djerba claims to be the island of the lotus eaters, to which Ulysses and his weary sailors came to be seduced by the narcotic delights of the lotus. There's no lotus left, but Gerba still manages to seduce thousands of foreigners every year.
Takmış koluna evin adamını beni orta yerinden çatlatıyor. Ağzımda sakızı şişirip şişirip arsız arsız patlatıyor. Biz böyle mi gördük babamızdan ele güne rezil olduk. Yeni adet gelmiş eski köye bak dostlar mahvoldu. Seni gidip fındık kıran yılanı deliğinden çıkaran kaderin püsküllü belam yakalarsam. Seni gidip fındık kıran yılanı deliğinden çıkaran kaderin püsküllü belam yakalarsam.
Tourism is now the biggest business in Gerba. I walk round the souk with El Haj, who runs one of the better shops in town. Though there was hardly a tourist in sight when he was a boy, he now relies on them for 70 to 80% of his business.
Do you think tourism can have a bad effect, an adverse effect?
Of course, yeah, it didn't bring only good things. It brought a lot of money to Gerba, but we have other problems. A lot of
problems.
Well, we have a lot of our young people who change. They are not practicing their religion anymore. They are running after. I don't know how to.
Seduced by the money and.
Yeah, exactly. We have these. I don't know if I want. Maybe I don't want to talk about it, but this sex tourism. We have a lot of old ladies. They're coming here to find a young friend here. This is not good. That's not good, of course. It's one of the bad sides. You find some sometimes some homosexual. So they are. You just go to the beach beside Hulis Palace, and you see that there are people staying there waiting for an old lady, or we also have a lot of young people. They don't want to work because they have a German rate. I don't know. I don't want to say, but old ladies. They leave their husbands there, or they don't have a husband anymore. They come here to find a friend here, and so they buy him, or they pay him. So this is one of the bad side of tourism.
But Tunisia, lacking the oil reserves of Libya and Algeria, has to do all it can to make tourists welcome. Their efforts have been greatly helped by the Romans, who at El Jem left behind the third biggest amphitheatre they ever built. Not just Romans, but Phoenicians, Turks, Greeks, even Normans have all contributed to Tunisia's rich racial mix. But most influential were the Arabs. One of their great monuments is in Monastir, and the locals never stopped talking about the day when Monty Python came to film here.
Believe it or not, now this is the more comfortable parts of the filming that weren't done on crosses happened here in Monastir, and this is the Rebat, which is it's a very, very old building, probably about 1,300 years old, and this is where most of the scenes of Life of Brian were done, and I'm just trying to remember it because it all looks very tidy and very neat at the moment. Yeah, it's coming back to me now. I think the stoning scene, the bits where the stoning, and we're all dressed up as women were not allowed to go to stonings, or was it only women who were allowed to go to stonings? I don't know. Women weren't allowed to go to stonings, so we all played women with beards.
Who threw that? Come on! Who threw that? Was it you? Yes. Right, well, you did say Jehovah.
Along the coast from Monastir is the city of Sousse, in which Brian also came to life. It seems strangely subdued today. I remember the streets of the old town as the liveliest in Tunisia, but now they're quiet as the grave. In the main square, they're already shutting up shop for the day. The reason, I learn, is that this is the start of Ramadan, the 1 month every year when Muslims are expected to fast during daylight hours. Candy stores do a roaring trade in anticipation of nighttime feasts. I've heard it said that some people actually put on weight during the month of fasting. Now I can understand why. Tunisia likes to see itself as secular and outward-looking. It's also the only Islamic country in which it's not compulsory to observe Ramadan. But most do. And with my friend Moez, I visit a cafe to see how the country makes the most of the hours of darkness. Moez orders a chicha, which is basically a cigarette the size of a vacuum cleaner. Charcoal heats honey-flavoured tobacco, and the air is cooled by the water.
Do you want to try it?
Yeah, okay, yeah. So just... Yeah, very nice. It's very relaxing, isn't it? Would you normally smoke this?
Sometimes, yeah. Especially in Ramadan, people after eating and everything, they like to relax, to have a cup of tea, and to smoke tea shisha.
Are you allowed to smoke at all during Ramadan, during the day?
No, nothing. Nothing. No water, no smoking, nothing in your mouth. No.
Really? That's very hard.
Just air, you know.
Yeah.
Well, why worry about engine sludge?
You can't see sludge coming, but it can rob gas mileage and hold your car back.
Yeah, right.
Castrol GTX has an improved formula to stop sludge in its tracks.
Give me a burger, fries.
GTX's new dispersants neutralize sludge for superior protection among leading 5W and 10W 30s.
And some extra napkins.
Castrol GTX. It's more than just oil. It's liquid engine.
Apart from the Arabs, most of those who invaded North Africa stopped short of the Sahara. The Romans never crossed it, and one of the most famous occupying empires looked only towards the sea. They were the Carthaginians, and their power base was right here. In fact, the station's called Carthage.
Well, this is the start of my journey, hopefully, through to Algeria. This is a little local train which will take me to Tunis Nord, which is the main station in Tunis, from which I can get a train called the Trans-Maghreb Express. Excuse me, please, I'm working. The Trans-Maghreb Express, which will take me through to Algiers. And this line goes to some wonderful stations. There's sort of Carthage Amilcar, Carthage Residence, Carthage Hannibal, great name for a station, Carthage Diarmid, Carthage Bursa. So 5 Carthage stations. Whatever the Romans might think, Carthage is not destroyed. I think when the Romans left Carthage, they were so fed up with the Carthaginians attacking Rome and Hannibal bringing his elephants over that they actually sowed the fields with salt, so nothing would grow after that.
From the main station in Tunis, it looks easy enough to continue my journey across North Africa aboard the Trans-Maghreb Express. The Arab word Maghreb means the lands of the setting sun, the lands of the West. But there are problems ahead. Tunisia, the country I'm leaving, is international, outward-looking, and relatively stable. Algeria, the country I'm going to, has been caught in a spiral of violence since 1992. Foreign Office advice is unequivocal. The security situation remains serious. We advise against all holiday and non-essential travel to Algeria. At first sight, Algiers seems little different from any other modern city. The trains seem to be running on time, there are no porters at the station, and my hotel, the Al Jazeera, is rather grand. It was formerly called the St. George and was built in the 1880s to accommodate all those fashionable Victorians who flocked to Algiers to benefit from the healthy climate. No one flocks to Algiers anymore, and I can't even leave the hotel without a bodyguard.
Beyond the hotel, we will be required to travel around Algiers with a team of the Service de Protection.
This is Eamon, and he's an ex-Marine commando.
The reason that we need this security in place is that since 1992, foreigners in Algeria have been under fatwa by certain extreme Islamic groups.
And Fatwa, sort of same as in the Salman Rushdie.
Salman
case.
Rushdie,
Yeah.
yes, the satanic verses, yeah. And the result is that over 100 foreigners have been killed in Algeria since that time.
I've travelled quite a bit, and as far as I know, no one's ever tried to kill me. I ask Eamon if this is all strictly necessary.
Well, it is. You're a public figure with a high profile, and frankly, if I lose you, I lose my job.
Well, hopefully it won't be a problem.
Out on the streets, you could be mistaken for thinking you were in Lyon or Marseille. For 100 years, the French treated Algeria not as a colony, but as a part of France itself. As a result, the independence movement was resisted more fiercely here than anywhere in North Africa. Said Chittour, a local journalist, is proud of the fight his people put up and is prepared to take me to what was the centre of the struggle, the ancient heart of Algiers, the Casbah. As the streets of the Casbah are still a flashpoint for violent protest, the local police, known as the Casbah Cops, have thrown a comprehensive but discreet cordon around the area for our visit. So successful is this precaution that there's absolutely no one about. And even when someone eventually appears, he's one of the local police regrouping. But they can't keep out the ghosts of old heroes.
Ali Lapointe was one of the resistance fighters against the French, wasn't he? I mean, he was in the film Battle of Algiers with these narrow streets.
Yeah.
Did he live here?
He lives here with his friends like Hassiba Ben Bali and all those freedom fighters. And he was one of the famous resistance, a hero of the Casbah and the Battle of Algiers.
So the resistance, was it centred on the Casbah?
Yes.
Right. So it was pretty difficult to get, for the French to come in and get the revolutionaries out of here.
Very difficult, because it's roof to roof, house to house. It's difficult, and the people, they can jump from roof to roof. This is the memorial plate in memory of Ali Lapointe.
So what does the plaque say, Said?
In the October the 8th, 1957, Ali Lapointe, with his companions, spent all the day resisting to the French paratrooper of Bijar and Massu. And in the end, the French army decided to blow up the house. He didn't want to give up, and he died.
Yeah, that's the scene in the film where they give them the chance to come out. Yes. And they decide to stay in there.
Yes.
Saying, right, we're going to give you 1 hour.
Yeah.
And then they blew the place up.
They blew it.
What do you think Ali Lapointe and these people achieved?
Freedom, independence for us, for the generation who are coming after 1962. Now this place became a kind of center, training center for young girls of the Casbah, to teach them how to make a good couscous.
Yeah, good couscous, that's a bit of a sublime to the ridiculous. This Casbah sounds like it's coming to life. Things are happening.
I begin to forget security and enjoy myself. There's lots of character to these claustrophobic alleyways.
I think we're crazy.
It's a funny girl.
Yeah.
Said shows me some of the Casbah's hidden gems, like the mosque of Sidi Abdel Rahman.
Let's go in here. It's quite important.
He was a 15th century holy man and patron saint of the city. A visit to his tomb is said to be particularly effective for women.
There's some women.
Yeah.
Some women's praying here for Allah to give us more, to be merciful, and to give us more, to Allah bless us, and to give us more rain, because in Algiers we have a big problem. There is no more water.
All right.
Ironically, the prayers worked only too well. Within 2 weeks of our visit, hundreds were drowned in Algeria's worst flooding for years. Next morning, it's time to leave Alger-la-Blanche, the White City, as the French called it. There's a train that goes west to Oran, but I've been warned the line is dangerous, so I seek professional advice. Is it okay to travel on the train? I know there are security problems.
Yes, there's security. Not problem in train. Yes, it's not problem in train. You can go in at Oran or Constantinople or Annaba. It's security. It's not problem for you.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, that's good. The train is about to leave, and it's time to say farewell to Saeed, who's shown me that despite the dire warnings, the people of Algiers could not have made us feel more welcome.
Anyway,
Michael,
Saeed,
good
thanks.
trip.
Excellent. Thanks
Have
for
a good
everything.
day.
Fantastic time. We'll see you soon.
Inshallah.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
As we pull out, everything looks normal enough. But in Algeria, it's never wise to be complacent. The Algiers-Oran line does have a history, and I'm certainly not allowed to ride it unprotected.
Okay. Is there a security problem on this line?
Yes, yes, there is, and there has been over the last 10 years. This is an area to the south of Algiers, known as the Triangle of Death. We're approaching Blida, and this has been the most bombed railway line in the world over the last 10 years.
And what sort of form does that take? Do people attack the train, ambush?
This train here has been bombed. It has been stopped by people coming onto the train and pulling the communication cord, which is why you won't find a communication cord on this train at the moment.
Really, they took them out because what was the problem? People were...
Well, yeah, you'd get Confederates of the of terrorist groups who'd come onto the train masquerading as passengers. They'd pull the communication cord at a certain moment. The train would stop, and the terrorists would come onto the train and commit acts of cruelty and barbarism.
What, they'd take people's lives?
Yes, they would. Yeah. In awful circumstances that we really don't want to go into. Now, however, over the last couple of years, you will find as you're going along there is a major security presence, and you will not really run the same risk, or so we're told.
Yeah. But you don't see many foreigners on a...
No, in my consideration, you're probably the first foreigner to pass along this line in the last 10 years.
I have to say, so far it seems to be fine. The train left on time. That was very friendly. Even the countryside at the moment is kind of like sort of farmland. I mean, I wouldn't want to put people off coming to Algeria because we've had no problems really at all. People have been extremely friendly. I know we've been guarded by you and other people, but I don't feel there's been any hostility.
No, there's no hostility from the general population. They're very welcoming people, as you would no doubt have seen as you've been going through here.
Even at stations like Schleff, where violence has been rife, there's an unthreatening air of ordinariness. But the hard fact remains that in the last 10 years of terror and counter-terror, 100,000 people have been killed.
One thing you won't actually be able to see on our journey is the presence of the armed guards. We have quite a heavy security presence, both from Algiers and then a town called Schleff, where we stopped. And they changed the guard round, and 18 members of the Gendarmerie Nationale, armed with AK-47s, came aboard to look after us. So they obviously don't want to be filmed. It's dangerous for them. But the train is actually bristling with guards looking after us.
The train used to be exotically known as the Algiers-Casablanca Express, but tensions between Algeria and Morocco over security have closed the railway border, and now the train terminates at Oran. The army can go home now, on someone else's responsibility.
Great station.
Absolutely beautiful. Moresque.
Is this Iran an important city?
Yes, the second city of Algeria.
Really Right, okay. Now, where we head? Off down here?
It looks like it, yeah, straight into the centre of the town.
Oran, like Algiers, is still steeped in French influence. Bare-breasted northern maidens gaze down from the opera house. Sharing the square with a carved likeness of Arab nationalist hero Abdul Qadir. The confusion reflects my own feelings as I near the end of the journey.
This is the last big city on my journey, and you can't get much further west in Algeria than this, so I've now got to think hard about how I'm going to get back home.
I'm able to bypass the closed border with Morocco by taking a roundabout ferry route into Ceuta. From there, it should be easy enough to get back across the straits to Europe. Ceuta is a curiosity. It's a slice of Spanish territory clinging to the coast of Africa. It's surrounded by Morocco, and in the same way that the Spanish want Gibraltar, the Moroccans would rather like Ceuta. But there's no sign of Spain parting with it. Indeed, this lovingly preserved monument in the Plaza Africa commemorates a Spanish invasion of Morocco. The Spanish presence makes Ceuta a magnet for those wanting to get out of Africa. High on a hill above the town is one of the outlying defences of Fortress Europe, a holding centre for immigrants, built and run by the European Union.
Gracias.
It's bright, clean and modern, and people here can't wait to get out. There are nearly 400 men, women and children in the centre, but only 45 applications have been processed in the last 6 months. The inmates are restless, some are desperate, but they're not giving up, not after the risks they've taken to get this far.
And where have you come from? You've come from?
From Nigeria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did you get here?
Through the Sahara Desert, from here.
On a vehicle?
With leg.
On foot? You walked through the Sahara?
Yeah, yeah.
How long did that take?
Took me almost 1 year.
How did you get here then, into Ceuta?
Into Ceuta, I passed through Sahara, get to Morocco. From Morocco, I come to this place.
How did you get here from Morocco?
From Morocco.
Because this is a fortress. This is all. There's a big
I
place
passed through the barbed wire.
Did you?
The barbed wire.
Yeah.
With a fishing boat.
I came by the boat.
Came by boat?
Yeah.
Out into the sea, and that brings you up onto the shore here?
Yeah.
Did you have to pay somebody a lot of money to get here?
Yeah, but the boat will pay about 1,500 to reach here.
$1,500? Dollars?
Yeah.
US dollars?
Yeah.
At the narrowest point of the Straits of Gibraltar, only 9 miles separate these people from their goal. I'm lucky. I can cross the straits in an hour on a scheduled ferry in broad daylight. But thousands of Africans will pay good money to be brought over in unsuitable boats at dead of night. When at last I reach Gibraltar, the flags are flying and the day trippers are filling the streets. But there's something different in the air. A smell of betrayal. After nearly 300 years, the unthinkable is happening. Britain and Spain are discussing joint sovereignty. The ceremony of the keys dates back to the days when the gates of the citadel were locked every night.
Your Excellency, the fortress is secure and all's well, sir.
But how secure is the fortress? Suddenly, this harmless ceremony seems loaded with significance. It's more than just an entertainment. Will the gates of Gibraltar have to be locked again?
When I set out, I always thought of Gibraltar as the bridge between Europe and Africa. But now I've finished the journey, I think what's more important for the future is that the Sahara is the bridge from Africa into Europe.
There is a danger in becoming obsessed with our own security. There may be enemies at the gate, but locking them out may only create more enemies. I think the best hope for the future is to look around the gate, to find out more, not less, of how other people live. After all, this time a year ago, I thought the Sahara was empty.